How's it going, super friends? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Brad, the DC Nerd Geek. For those of you who didn't know, today I want to talk about the Shazam movie because I had a chance to go and see it early. I was one of the lucky people that managed to squeeze my butt into a packed theater. A very good sign for the DC universe, film universe going forward, that the theater was pretty much packed on the very first showing. It was a 4 o'clock showing, and people usually like to go to see movies in the evening where I come from, and it was packed at 4 o'clock, which tells you there was big interest in people coming to see this movie. I was one of the lucky few. I saw it. I want to talk about it. I want to do a review. I do want to warn you there will be spoilers because I'm just not clever, talented, smart enough to do a movie review without any kinds of spoilers, because I like to talk about the things and plot points and stuff like that in the movie. I will try to keep it as spoiler free as I can, but just bear in mind that you will, if you watch this video, hear things that are not in the trailer. So if you're one of those purists that wants to have nothing spoiled, please click away right now. Alright, so the movie itself, I feel like for starters, it was acted fantastically. Everyone who had a role in that movie, whether it was one of the youngers or one of the olders, I feel like everybody carried themselves and held their own absolutely fantastically. And Zach Levy did a wonderful job of when he would say the magic word and become this adult chosen one, the wizard's champion with these god powers, the powers of a god. Essentially, he was like he's a magic version of Superman. I feel like he did a miraculous job of portraying the mind of a 15-year-old boy, little Billy Batson, inside of this godlike adult body. You really get that feeling. That's something that I know that if you're fans of the really old school Shazam comics, they didn't always really emphasize. You know, I think they kind of were like, well, that's the wisdom of Solomon, so he just becomes kind of more like a grown-up. And it's only been more in the recent comics that you can really see that this Shazam character, because now you can't legally call him Captain Marvel as of, you know, well, that's a long story, right? I mean, everyone called him Captain Marvel, even in the comics, up until 2011. It's only been since the New 52 that they officially just changed the name and abandoned Captain Marvel altogether. But the Cap, I still call him Captain Marvel. We'll call him Shazam for this movie review so people don't get confused. Shazam, you know, really is a 15-year-old kid with the body of a grown-up, and I think that he does an excellent job of portraying that. I don't doubt it for a second, because he's every bit the immature, funny, goofy kid that is really just trying to figure things out and come into his own and be that superhero that Freddie Freeman, because we've all seen the commercials, so we know that Freddie Freeman is trying to teach him how to be a superhero. And so the relationship between the two, you really get that sense that it is two youth interacting with one another. Even when it is grown-up Shazam and childhood Freddy, they're still like kids. And to me, that was so awesome that they managed to capture that. And then you have Mark Strong, obviously, portraying Dr. Savannah, and he does a fabulous job. He is, in my opinion, the DC film universe's darkest supervillain yet. He is just cold and dark and ruthless, and he is every bit the shadow to Billy Batson, Shazam's light in this movie. They play off each other just perfectly. They play off each other wonderfully. Now, without giving too much away, if you've seen my Shazam action figure review where I review all the different figures, then A, you're going to know that the Shazam family is there, the multicolored Shazam family, so it's not just Billy that gets the powers, but it's going to be that whole family, the whole foster family of kids that gets them. So Darla, Pedro, Eugene, Mary, and Freddy. And then the 7 deadly sins, which, if you've watched my action figure review, they were bright and colorful and little and cuddly looking, and they kind of look like gummy candies. They're nothing like that in the movie, and I'll just kind of leave that there. They are big, and they are badass, and they are absolutely terrifying, and they are perfect. They are awesome. I don't want to wreck that one for you. Now, the basic themes of the story as well, obviously you have the basic hero's journey with little Billy Batson being the chosen one of the wizard, and he passes the test, he's pure of heart, he gets these powers, and then he's like, well, what do I do with them? He doesn't really take it seriously, he's kind of arsing around, and then he goes through a moment where it's the moment of truth. Am I going to keep them? Am I going to live up to it? Am I going to rise to the occasion? Am I going to give the powers up? What am I going to do? It's the hero's journey where he is accepting his role, and then eventually, obviously, because that's the whole point of the movie, you know, he does live up to that role. He does become the superhero. He does become responsible and go, yes, this is who I am. This is what I'm supposed to do. Let's do it. And just as importantly, the second major theme of the movie is one of family, because we see Billy Batson going from foster home to foster home to foster home because he gets separated from his mother very early on in the movie, and he spends the rest of that time, as soon as he's old enough, just trying to find his mom. That's all he's trying to do. He doesn't really get it, right? He thinks that he did something wrong. Meanwhile, I mean, if those of you who have kids, if your kids went missing at an amusement park or something like that, I'm sure that you wouldn't rest until you found them, right? Am I right here? You would try to find your kids and no sleep would happen. Well, that obviously doesn't happen because he ends up in foster care. And without completely wrecking it, that whole area of family is not really family. And so he ends up, through the course of the movie, embracing his foster family and choosing them, understanding them to be real family to him. And that's what enables him, accurate with the comics too, that's what enables him to share his power with the rest of the kids, and they become the Shazam family. Now, as Billy has shared some of his power with these other foster kids, these foster siblings, it is fantastic. It is bright, it is colorful, it is fun. In my opinion, Darla was the absolute star of the show. As soon as Darla transformed, she totally stole it from me. She was adorable as a child, and then she's adorable as a grown-up. There's a very fun scene involving Darla as this grown-up, you know, godlike superhero, and a little exchange with Santa Claus. A guy dressed as Santa Claus. I'll leave that there without completely wrecking it, but it was so adorable. Look, I don't want to tell you anything more about the movie. I really want you to go watch it yourself, but I will say this. If you're looking for a DC movie, a film that is released under the DC Films label, that's going to make you laugh, that's going to make you feel good, that's going to be wildly entertaining, that's going to have reasonable special effects, something that is going to be clearly a departure from the dark, gritty tone of the previous DC universe. This is it, right here. In my opinion, this movie made me feel how Superman should have made me feel, and I've kind of said that all along. As much as I enjoyed Man of Steel, you know, I really would have liked to walk out of the theater after watching Man of Steel and feel like $1,000,000 too, and I just didn't. And there are plenty of references. This movie does exist in the DC film universe proper. There is a lot of merchandise in this movie, a lot of references, and yes, we all knew reading, you know, because we've all been following this movie, we know that there is a cameo by Superman in this movie. The suit is a little bit different, and I will leave that there with you as well, but I will say that it is not Henry Cavill. We don't see his face, it's a body double, but the way that they made the cameo work with the overall, you know, framework of the movie, I thought that it was fantastic. They took a long-running kind of a joke, like a scene, something from the middle of the movie, and then brought it up into the end. And there is an after the credits scene, and then there is an after the credits scene. There are two after credits scenes, which I'm not going to spoil for you either. Anyway, that's my review. It's really broken. I'm not good at doing film reviews. This is kind of like still a very new thing for me to sit down and do like a you know, in front of the camera one take of a review, but I really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend that you go and watch this. If you've been put off by the DC film universe, maybe from some of the darker stuff, I really feel like this will be a very redeeming movie for you to see. If you liked Aquaman, if you liked Wonder Woman, I can imagine you liking this one as well. It's very standalone-ish, but it's still very connected, and it's very bright, very hopeful, very positive, and it's just an all-around good time. So that's it. That's my review. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. Sorry if you didn't want to see spoilers. Hopefully you clicked away. If you want to see more of my face, a lot of my hands show up in your inbox because I do a lot of product reviews as well, action figure reviews. Hit the subscribe button, remember to ding the bell so you get notified, and I will see you with the next one. Have an awesome day, super friends. Take care.